Before we really get started, I just wanted to do a quick poll here on the Teams chat. If you can let us know if you use ArcGIS Online quite regularly, or have been exposed to it but not used regularly, or if you have heard about it but never used it, or you have absolutely no idea what ArcGIS Online is. That will help me to set up the subsequent slides and set some expectation here. While all the four groups, I think, will benefit out of this webinar, option B, someone who has been exposed to ArcGIS Online but hasn't used it a lot will, I think, benefit the most. But you are welcome to stick around because I think you might be able to get a tidbit here and there, even if you are a regular user. So the agenda for today is we have already covered the content from Esri. We will go ahead and talk a little bit about what dashboard is, and then we will talk about the built-in functionalities that are available in ArcGIS Dashboard. I'll go through some samples. I think that will set the stage for you to understand what dashboard really is and what it can really do. And then we would go forward and create our own dashboard in about 15 minutes. Lastly, I will close by giving you some ideas as to what you can build your own dashboard, how you can, what ideas you can use to build your own dashboard, and where to go to get the data. So with that, let me get started with the introduction to dashboard. And in essence, a dashboard, all it is it's sorry. So in essence, a view of data, ideally it would be one screen where you can look into and get information about the processes or the data that you really care about. A very good example is the dashboard in your car. Gives you information about the mileage you have traveled, your gas, if you're wearing seatbelt or not, your tire pressure, and quickly you can understand what's going on with your vehicle. It's the same concept with ArcGIS Dashboard. With it, you are getting key insights to the data on a single screen, right? The data might come from your organization. You might be looking at the status of your assets, valve, water meter, water line, or it could be your operations data, the field crews out in the field, the status of emergency situation. Or in this case, for our seminar, we would be looking at the number of patients, confirmed cases of COVID-19, and how many people have already recovered from the disease. So any data that you want to get a key insights from a single screen, you can use ArcGIS dashboards. It's an out-of-box application from Esri. So very few or none programming experience necessary. It also comes in two flavors, a cloud application, ArcGIS Online, or if you have ArcGIS Enterprise in your on-prem data center, you can also use that now. Hold on, let me. Here are some of the patterns of use that we see ArcGIS Dashboard being used repeatedly all over the world. The first one I have here for you is a dashboard from World Health Organization. In recent days, we have seen proliferation of ArcGIS Dashboard being used for especially this use case, wherein the number of cases and deaths and recovery rates are being reported using the dashboard. But you can also use Operations Dashboard to collect survey data and display those data in turn to the public. Here is a good example of the survey. The other example I would want to focus on here is a dashboard created by GIS Core. And what they're doing here is crowdsourcing the information about the grocery store and then turning around and displaying those information in a dashboard in a very elegant and easy to consume and in an easy to consumable way. It can also be used in cities for displaying information to the public. Case in point, this is the dashboard displaying right-of-way information permit. And user can interact with it, can understand or can know if their permit has been accepted or not, and permits being generated in your neighborhood. This is from Kentucky Water and Wastewater Infrastructure Planning. This one is from Kentucky, and you can see that it has information about the total projects, the projects that are pending, the map of where the projects are located, and other essential graphs. Here is an example of dashboard being used to report opioid abuse cases. There's a map, a few graphs, easy to understand pie chart, and the numbers. And finally, here is a dashboard displaying information about capital projects in a city. And same goes here. You can actually interact with the data with map and other graphs and other information. So the whole idea here, after looking at the patterns of use, is you are gathering information from different sources and displaying that in dashboard. Now, a good source of gathering information from the field could be Esri's field apps like Survey 123, Workflow, Collector, Quick Capture. But the information can also come from third party and information that are already residing in your GIS server, in ArcGIS Online, Living Atlas, or anywhere you can bring data in GIS ecosystem. You can also get data from services like GeoEvent Server, which is tracking a real-time information like AVL. And once you have all this information, you can aggregate them and publish it in your dashboard. Now, to create a good dashboard, the ingredients that you would need are first, you need license for either ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise. Yes, you can create public ArcGIS Online license, but as of now, you cannot author a dashboard unless you are part of an organization. You would also need good data. We'll show you how to get some data and where to look for more data in the subsequent slides. And please remember, before you create a dashboard, you would need to create a good web map with the kind of information that you need to display to your user in dashboard. So first you would create a web map, and then you'd create a dashboard. So with ArcGIS Dashboard, these are the elements and functionalities that you get. You get a side panel, map, legend, serial chart, indicator, gaze, list, details, rich text, and embedded content. We will be using some of these elements to create a dashboard just in a little while, but this list keeps growing, and these are what is available as of now, but I wouldn't be surprised to find more elements being offered in the days to come. And in addition to these elements, the other functionalities available in dashboard are theme. You can change the theme of your dashboard. You can always have your layers turned on, turned off. There can be bookmarks in your web map that you can inherit in the dashboard. There's a pretty robust search function. You can filter information before showing it to your users. And there are layer actions that I think I'll be able to demonstrate in our demo. But what it is you can get, or we'll just skip it for the demo. And here are some of the samples that I wanted to talk about real quick here. And I hope this would get you thinking as to what kind of dashboard you can create on your own. So the first one here is from the Johns Hopkins University, and this is a viral map. I had never seen a map being shared to this degree. There has already been 1 billion of views for this map, and the fact that it's not a YouTube video or a TikTok video, it's very surprising and also exciting. The map processes more than 1,000 of service requests every second. So a viral map. This is a map from Sacramento County. It's also displaying the COVID information, but you can see the cases by zip code. They have also been aggregated and filtered through race, sex, and age group. And there are other a ton of data that you can get from this dashboard. Here is a dashboard from Walmart. It shows all the stores that have grocery delivery available, or if there's any online grocery pickup available. You can also filter the information using open and closed data. And there are other information that you can play with. So just wanted to demonstrate some of the dashboard that I think are really cool. And after that, I think I have a demo set up after this. So let's go ahead and create a dashboard. If you have ArcGIS Online, and if you have that turned on your computer, you can follow along with me. But I'm sure we can also provide you with the recording at a later time, and you can just watch the video and follow through. Okay, so this for those of you who are not very familiar with ArcGIS Online, it's a software as a service product from Esri. It's a GIS experience that you can get on the cloud, and it's pretty robust, and there are a ton of things that you can do just by using ArcGIS Online. You never have to go to the desktop ArcMap or ArcGIS Pro application. So let's start here, and this is called Map Viewer. This is where you create maps, web maps, and the web map gets later consumed by the dashboard. The first thing I would want to do here is add some data. Like I said before, I would show you how to grab some data that are already available publicly. So let me go to the Johns Hopkins dashboard, and if we go here where it says it has all the information about the dashboard, they have a link for feature layer. So I would just click on the link, and it takes me to their data endpoint. This is where the data is coming from. I would just go ahead and copy the URL that they have provided and go back to my map viewer and add the data. So I would go to add, and I would go to add layer from web, because that's how I'm adding the data. But if you have your data internally, you can absolutely add them. But for now, I would go to add layer from web, and I would add the data from Johns Hopkins and add that as layer. Now you can see I have 3 layers: deaths, cases, and cases by country. Now I'm confused. How is cases different by cases country? So I can open the table, and it shows me that, okay, so this is where the data has been divided by country. But when I go to cases and look at the attribute table for the cases, I can quickly understand that. Let me sort the countries, and you can see there are multiple entries for the same country, so they have been divided by province and state. Okay, so with that, there are a ton of data and a ton of things happening here. For this demonstration, I am interested in displaying data for United States only. So the first thing I would do here is go to the filter, and I would filter by country. So if the country is United States, I want to see only those data. And obviously that didn't work. Let's see what's going on. So country region is United States, apply filter, didn't work. Okay, so here's what's going on. The layer that you are looking at is the cases layer and not the cases country. So let me go to the filter and remove the filter. Let's go to cases and go to filter, and let's apply a filter here instead. So country region is United States, and I will apply the filter. There you go. Now we have information for United States only. And the second thing I want to do is, I think the bubbles here are quite big. So I want to reduce the size. So I'd go to symbology. Again, this is part of understanding ArcGIS online platform. You can just follow through whatever I do here right now. But if you are really interested in learning ArcGIS online, that would be a different webinar that I think we might provide at a different time. So let's go to options, and let's lower down the size of the bubbles. So I think I want to see the maximum size as 75, and I hit OK, done. So we have already reduced the size of the bubble. We have filtered out the data so that it only displays information from United States. Finally, let's click on one of these bubbles, and you see it provides us with some more information about the cases in Nevada. And there are information that I want to see, or I want my users to look at, like confirmed and recovered and deaths. But there are things like long and lat that I don't think my users would be interested in looking at. So going here, and this is where I would change the pop-up. I would go to configure pop-up. It's very easy. I'd go to configure attribute, and all I do here is turn off the information that I think are not relevant to my users, and leave everything as it is. Have the check mark there. So once I'm done with that, I'll just hit OK. And now, if you click on the bubble, you're still looking at the long and lat. So let's see what's going on. Did I not? So I did that. I hit OK. Did I hit OK? And then, OK, there we go. So now you are only looking at the confirmed, the recovered, and the death number. The other thing I can do is I'm going to turn off the death layer altogether, because I don't want to. And I don't know if you noticed, but the death is being symbolized by this cross mark. I don't want that layer to be displayed here, and also the third layer, cases country. The only information I want to highlight on the map is cases, but I would want to keep other two layers because I want the data that's underlying these layers. Once I'm done with that, I would just save this web map. I'll give it COVID in US, some title. I'll just keep it a tag, demo. I'll just leave the summary for now, and I would save this in a folder called training. Okay, so once I have saved my web map, the other thing I would do now is I would go to the dashboard experience and start building a dashboard. Now, there are multiple ways of doing it. You can go to your ArcGIS online content pane and start creating a dashboard there. But what I like is create a dashboard right from here, going to the share button and create a web app. The good thing about this is if I create a dashboard right from a web map, everything, or all the logic, all the information, the symbology that I have in my web map gets inherited to the web app build, to the operations dashboard, to the ArcGIS dashboard. So this is the route I will be taking here. And forgive my lingo, Operations Dashboard used to be the name for ArcGIS Dashboard. And now SG has changed it and has rebranded it as ArcGIS Dashboard. So, okay, so this is the dashboard builder. And as you can see, the web map that we had created in the previous step has been imported here. It has the same bubble that I had. I can click and get the information that I want to. The first thing I want to do here is I want to add a base map gallery. So right now, the base map that you're looking at is a topology base map. But if you wanted to look at something different, I want my user to have that option. So what I do here is I go to the configure and I turn on the base map switcher. The other thing I want to turn on is zoom in and out so that somebody wants to zoom in and zoom out, the map can be able to do so. I can also configure other stuff like general. I can give this a map name and title. I can also give some map actions that we will come later. And then there are also some layer actions that you can configure. For now, all I'm adding is a base map switcher and zoom in and out. And I'll hit done. And as you can see, there's a base map switcher here. The user can go in here, and if they are interested in looking at the imagery with labels, they can do so. They can also do this. All right, so that's done, and we also have a zoom in and zoom out button. You can obviously, of course, do that using your mouse key, your mouse wheel. But for whatever reason, if you think adding a plus and minus for zooming and zoom in and zoom out is important for your user, you can add that. All right, so I think the map portion is looking good. Now I want to add some more widgets, some numbers to it, so I can, or my user can digest information easily. So for that, I'll go to this plus sign here, and I would add an element. Let's first add an element called header. I just want to give it a title. So COVID spread in US can be a good title, and I can do different things here, but I just want to keep it simple and done. So that's my header. The other thing I want to add here is indicator. So indicator is something like this that gives you a number that provides you with a snapshot of what's going on in the map. So going back, I want to have a snapshot of what's going on in the United States. So what I do is I create on the layer, and then I filter because I only want to see data from United States. So I use that filter, and I want to see feature for confirmed cases. So that's the confirmed cases in United States. The other settings available here is I can change the text. So I can, on the bottom of the number, I can say these are the confirmed cases. And probably I want to make it look more orange. The same with the text. I want to make it orange, and that's it. I don't want to add any more detail to it, so I can do this, and here we have our first indicator. I also want to add another indicator just so that we also know the recovery rate in United States. So I would go to the appropriate layer, add a filter. I want to filter information from United States, feature, and I want to look at the recovery rate, and I want to make it look green. So here we are. The bottom text is going to be recovered, and in general I'm going to change the color to green. There we go. and done. All right. Finally, I also want to add um, some information about the deaths. It's so unfortunate to see the staggering number. Um, so yeah, just lost my train of thought there. But we're gonna add a filter for United States feature, and I want to add information about deaths. I'm gonna make it look more red. Go to general, and the number I also want to change it to red, and there we are. After that, now, as we know, the screen real estate, it's very valuable. It's nice that the dashboard has the option to resize your indicators. But not only that, you can drag your item and dock it using one of these anchor. So you can dock it as a row. So you can have confirmed cases on top of the death. And you can do the same thing for recovered and bring it. You can also stack the items, but for now I want to dock it as a row, and let's reduce the size, give appropriate size to all these three numbers, and there we go. All right, that's looking good, and I want to save it so that I don't lose any of my hard work. Okay, so after that, the next thing I want to do is I want to be able to add a list of states and be able to click on the state, and I want the map to zoom on to the state that I'm clicking on. So for that, I would go to the plus sign and add a list, and I want a list from cases. Now I don't want any. I don't want those information coming from cases and country, because I want it to be. I want all the 50 states to be displayed. So I'm going with the second layer that we have here. Okay, so we already have the states listed here. The other thing, I don't want to add any filter here, but what I really want to do is be able to say, hey, these are the state or regions that we're looking at. And in the rich text box, I can add the field. So, all right. And I want to make this bold, so I can do that. All right. I also want to say the number of cases, right? And I would want to add the confirmed. And these are the attributes that's coming from the layer. So I just wanted to add the confirmed attribute right here. Make cases bold. Sorry, cases bold, and let's give them a color. Maybe pink. Okay, so that's not what I wanted. I wanted to give text a color. So maybe this looks good. Okay. So once I hit done, I have the list here that I can drag to the other side of the screen and dock it as a column. I can reduce the size. There we go. Looks good. All right. So now we can, at a glance, we can look at the number of cases in each of these states. But when I click on the state, there is really no action going on. So what I want to do is go back to the settings again and go to actions. And what I'll do here is I'll add an action, which is going to be a zoom action. And the target is the map that we have created. So once you click on any of these states, the map gets zoomed into the dashboard will just zoom into the particular corresponding state. once I have added the action, I also want to add a flash action just because they're cool. All right, so I have a zoom action, I have a flash action, and now let's see what they can be used for. All right, so here's the map, and now I want to look at the cases in Minnesota. I'll just click on Minnesota, and it takes me there. And now you can just click on the bubble to get more information about the particular state that you're interested in. I want to look at Alaska and click on that, and I have the information here about Alaska. All right, so this is looking good. I think that's all I wanted to show here. Part of demo. Of course, I want to save it. Now there are other elements that you can play with. For example, pie chart. You can bring in a pie chart. You can bring in all the cases and say, hey, I want to view all the recovered cases, right, or all the death cases here. But the thing to remember here is just because you have the option to add a pie chart, you shouldn't add a pie chart. If there is a real need for it, if you think your user is gonna interact with your pie chart, go for it. But if you think there is a little value that the diagram or the charts and the elements are providing to your dashboard, don't use it. And when it comes to dashboard, more is sometimes more, less is more. You really want your dashboard to be intuitive. You want the information to be clearly explained. At a glance, your user needs to be able to digest the information. So that's the key. All right. So once I'm done with it, I just save it. And the final thing I can do here is, if I don't like the white theme, I can go here and change the theme to dark. It really changes the way the dashboard, the look and feel of the dashboard. You can go either way. And finally, I would grab this link to share. Now, a point of caution here. If you go to your content, let's go to, all right, let's go to training. Let's do that. Okay, so as you can see, my share settings is owner. So I can't really share this dashboard with anyone. So if I really wanted to share with my organization or everyone in public, I can go ahead and do that. But unless I share it publicly, the link that you grab from here will just prompt your user to log in to the organization ArcGIS Online. So a word of caution there. So I think we'll leave the demo at that. Feel free to play around with all the elements that's been offered by Esri. I just wanted to walk you through some of the data that are available. So if you wanted to experiment with this, create your own whole dashboard, I just want to suggest the COVID-19 ArcGIS Hub that Esri has built. It has a ton of resources that you can really play with, and it's astonishing the amount of information that's available in the hub. Just want to give you an example. So this is essential and non-essential business designation layer. So so it has all the information for all the states. So if you click on Arizona, and if you click on the, tells you, it gives you the PDF that you can use to or the link, it takes you to all this information right here. The other layer that I wanted to highlight here is from Blue Dot, and they are actually providing the social distancing metrics. So so let's zoom into El Dorado County here in Northern California, and you'll see that the Blue Dot estimates 30% of this many devices stayed at home, and it also compares with its previous matrices. Pretty cool. SafeGraph also has information about businesses. And as you can see, it has information about restaurants, personal care services, and all these. It has broken down the information into all these categories. And you can actually click on the business and get a pretty good idea as to how the foot traffic to the business is looking like. So yeah, pretty cool information here in ArcGIS Hub. Go to ArcGIS Online, ArcGIS Atlas. They have a ton of information that should help you start building your own dashboard. All right, so let's go back to the slide that I have. Just wanted to talk a little bit about best practices. And okay, so this is something that I didn't do, so I didn't follow the best practice. So if you go to your web map, right, now this information is real time. Somebody in John Hopkins is updating the information in real time as we talk. So what we need to do here is we want to add a refresh interval so that every 5 minutes, for example, the data gets refreshed and the dashboard will use the refresh data. If you don't do this, what's going to happen is your information would get stale. You'd have to refresh the browser constantly. But if you put a refresh interval here, maybe 15 minutes, the data gets itself updated. And I would do the same for all these 3 layers before saving it. All right. So now with that, let's move on to my best practices here. So that's number one. Number two is apply filters. If you remember, we applied filter to filter the information for United States only. So that's something you'd want to do to make your map be faster, but also it's a lot less to handle if you have a subset of data that you can work on. You can absolutely use non-visible operation layers. If you remember, we had a layer called depth, but that was a non-visible layer, and yet we could use that information in the dashboard. So use non-visible operation layer as well. Try to provide context. So if you're using, if you're displaying data, it really doesn't do your user any good unless there is a context. The way we did that in our demonstration was we said, hey, these are the numbers of recovered cases in United States. And that sort of builds the context with the number. If you are building a dashboard for mobile view, please use a different dashboard because the dashboard that we just built, for example, was built for a bigger screen. If you are building a dashboard for a smaller screen like mobiles, please use a different dashboard and have as less information possible because the real estate, the mobile real estate, screen real estate is really small. So you want to create dashboard accordingly. Finally, double check the sharing settings. Many a times you just share the link, but you might have forgotten to share it with your group or with the organization or even publicly. And in which case the user has to log in.